welcome into your practice and in our penultimate practice of this 12 class series that we've been moving through. And today's practice is really focused on using the wall. And the wall is sometimes the lesser used of the yoga props. And it's one that wherever we go, whether we're traveling, we're in a different home, or maybe we just don't have a lot of props around, that's typically always available to us. So we're going to explore all different kinds of shapes, both standing upright and on our backs and lying down, that will use the prop of the wall as our primary support system. And one of the main reasons I like to use the wall is because it's deeply restorative. This is kind of like taking the practice one step away from a true restorative yoga practice, because you usually have two places of support with the body simultaneously, because you've got the floor and the wall. So it's a nice way to really allow yourself to kind of think of the body sort of puddling in the practice. A real sense of like, is what we want to drop into today. I have one block today that could be of service, so I would have that handy. And we are going to start with a pose that we've done previously. We did it a few weeks ago, dangling pose, but we're going to do it with the wall. So the way that I would do this is from all fours. We're going to bring the feet to the mat or the floor, straighten the legs, and walk your feet about 1 to 1.5 full foot's lengths forward, and then let the hips come back to the wall. So again, you kind of walk the feet away from the wall about 1 to 2 foot's lengths, and then let the hips fall back onto the wall, and then let everything dangle forward. And this is a shorter hold in the Yin practice. We're typically just here 1 to 3 minutes, no longer. So you might experiment with softening the knees here, really letting the back of the neck elongate. A sense of the spine being like a waterfall. Maybe just feeling into, as we spend about another minute here, if there's any thought patterns the mind has been holding on to throughout the day, that maybe you feel like at least for the next 30 minutes you could just set them aside, let them go. Not forever, but just for this time of practice. These last few breaths, maybe just observing how this dangling pose might feel a little bit different, having the support of the wall for the pelvis to rest on. And then we're going to take the block and place it in between the feet, right up against the wall. And you could have it either at the lowest or the medium height. Widen your feet just a little bit wider, and then turn the feet out 45 degrees. And start to bend the knees, sliding the pelvis down the wall to land on the block. And then when you get there, you might round the spine, let the head hang. We'll take a few breaths just letting the spine be really round, soft, like a little tortoise in its shell. Knowing that if it feels good to stay where you are, you're always welcome to do that. Or you might explore lifting the torso and actually leaning the spine back onto the wall. For me, it feels nice just to keep the arms resting on the knees, the eyes closed. Allowing the low back to really decompress here. And to welcome in multiple kinds of support for the body. We're going to stay in this squat position, but add in a little bit of a neck stretch here by letting the right ear drop towards the right shoulder. And then you might just let the left arm drop to the floor. Knowing there's nothing we need to try to accomplish here. We're just putting the body here, breathing fully, and trusting that the stillness and the time are going to do the work for us. We'll slowly let the head come back to center. Maybe you lift the left back arm back up, or maybe you want to keep it down. And then we'll take that neck stretch on the second side, letting the left ear drop towards the left shoulder. And maybe just letting that right arm sort of fall towards the floor. Just trusting that your body knows what it needs right now. There's a quote from Lao Tzu that says, "At the center of your being, you know who you are and you know what you need." So trusting your own intuition. And we'll start to let the head drift back up to center, and just a final breath or two here, right in the middle. We'll open the eyes if they were closed. We're going to make our way onto our backs, which is where we'll be for the rest of the practice. So if you want to see the shape before you make it into the shape yourself, you might just watch for a moment so you don't have to crane the neck to see where we're going. So we're going to come to the back with the hips against the wall, legs straight up, and we're going to do a reclined pigeon pose. So we'll cross the right ankle over the left knee, and then we'll start to bend the left knee until you feel some sensation in the right hip. Now, we don't want the pelvis to lift up. That's a no-no. We want the pelvis to stay down. So you may have to move away from the wall a little bit to create space for the legs. Okay? So if you haven't already, start to make your way onto your back, legs up the wall. And then just to reiterate, right ankle over left knee. That left knee opens wide. And then softening the left knee as the left foot slides down the wall, just until you feel some sensation in the right hip. And just noticing how the wall is supporting you here. But also noticing, just as I said previously, that at the center of your being, you know who you are and you know what you need. So if anything needs to change or shift here, you have every right to change the shape a little bit. Make it fit you where you are. And maybe just noticing if the legs have leaned a little bit more to the right. And if they have, just experiment with sliding the structure of the legs to the left. And that's very subtle, but will likely take you a little bit deeper into sensation. As we spend our last 5 or 6 breaths here, a good opportunity to check in with the forehead relaxed there. Letting the tongue just rest inside of the mouth. Start to come out of this reclined pigeon by straightening the left leg and re-extending the right. And just take a couple breaths with both legs up the wall. And then we'll go straight away into the second side here. So as you feel ready, the left ankle will bend and drape itself over the right knee. And the right knee will start to bend with the right foot sliding down the wall. And you may notice that, this hip is very different than the other. You might not go as far, or you might go farther. And so you may find that as you know who you are and you know what you need to make a different choice for yourself on this side of the body. And so the same way that we might feel really strong and resilient and calm some days, and so we're able to do more. And then on other days, we might feel a bit frazzled, fragile, unstable even. And so we have to take a little bit more care with ourselves. And knowing that right here in this Yin Yoga practice, we get to experiment with what it feels like to advocate for ourselves. Responding to the needs of the moment. About 30 more seconds here. If there's any space that's opened up, you could drop deeper into the pose or stay as you are. And again, as you're ready, starting to slowly straighten the right leg and Extend the left leg alongside it. And give yourself a pause just to notice how the body is responding. And depending on the width of your space, I'm going to give you two different options here. So the first is to come into the squat position, but on our backs by bending the knees and letting the thighs slide towards the floor. The feet turn out about 45 degrees here. So you're literally like in the squat, just on your back. You could keep the arms on the floor, or you could rest them on the inner thighs, a sort of gentle encouragement of a deepening. So that's an option that you could explore, particularly if your space at the wall is more narrow. If you have a wider space to move into, you could explore straightening the legs and opening them into a wide V, which we would call a reclined dragonfly position. Energetically, both of those poses stimulate the same parts of the body. It's really just a matter of what space you're working with today. And seeing if you can really surrender the weight of the body to the force of gravity. So for me, with my legs wide here, I'll find every once in a while one of my legs will kind of pop down an inch or two as the marinating elements of time and stillness really take their toll in a good way on the body. Every breath an opportunity to remove any obstacles to surrendering to the practice. Giving ourselves about 1 more minute of silence to just rest in this shape. Just being a breathing body. We'll begin to transition into what will be our resting pose. But it's going to be at the wall with the legs up the wall. So taking the hands to the outer legs and use the energy of the arms to support the legs as you gently guide them back towards each other, straight up the wall. And this will be where we will take our rest period. So you can let the knees sort of soften. The legs don't need to be overly straightened here. the soles of the feet completely relaxed. And this legs up the wall position is a wonderful position if you struggle with insomnia. Very soothing to the cardiovascular system. And also has a profound effect on the lymphatic system as we drain the lymph, reducing inflammation and swelling in the lower extremities. Continue to give you quite a bit of silence here as we take about 2 minutes of rest in silence, and dropping into our own intuition as we trust that we know who we are and we know what we need. Begin to welcome your awareness back into the body, and particularly your awareness on your breath. And we'll stay in this position for just a few moments of mindful breathing. So as you take your next breath in, become aware of the breath coming to the top of the head on the inhale, and the breath going all the way down to the base of the belly on the exhale. And keeping this awareness of the breath moving up and down, see if you can add in the awareness of, as you inhale, the breath expanding the rib cage from side to side. And as you exhale, the breath softening and the rib cage closing in. This final bit of breath awareness, maintaining that awareness of the breath moving up and down and side to side. See if you can become aware of the belly expanding up towards the ceiling on the inhale, and then the back body softening on the exhale. And so holding in our awareness the reality that the breath moves in 360 degrees all the way around in all directions simultaneously. And letting the body for a couple more rounds of breath really breathe this 360-degree breath. Allow the knees to soften and slowly slide the feet down the wall. You might bring your right arm overhead as you roll onto your right side, just for a couple breaths in a fetal position. And then as you're ready, using your hands for support to press upright. And coming into a comfortable seated position to close the practice. Maybe closing the eyes and just being aware with a sense of gratitude, the appreciation of having so much support for the last 30 minutes. This support that allowed us to hopefully deeply relax and drop into a sense of being held, so that we didn't feel like we had to carry it all, at least for this pocket of time in the day. You can either bring the hands to the body or bring the palms of the hands together as we close this practice. May the entire universe be filled with peace and joy, love and light. And may that light of truth overcome all darkness. Jai Shri Sakharu Maharaj Ki.